Welcome back to Consumer Behavior. I'm Professor Mike Neffel. This session is week 1, chapter 2, Consumer Ethics, the Marketplace, and the Planet. Topics we're going to go through today include business ethics and what's called the PESTLE framework, political environment effects on consumer decision-making, ways marketers respond to social issues to impact consumer behavior, technology and how it creates new challenges for consumer protection, legal environment influences on consumer behavior, there's plenty of that, and the consumer behavior impacts on the environment. Start out with business ethics. What is the right thing, cultural differences in what is considered ethical? Everybody's got their own opinion on this, and it's certainly things that can be thought of as an okay cause can turn into a good thing or a bad thing real fast. Once people start to spin things and once sometimes things get out of control and emotions run high. But I guess the real question is, should brand marketers take a position, agree or disagree, on social issues? Should brands get behind? Personally, I can make an argument either way. Yes, you should. After all, these are your people that are your consumers, and you need to support. They support you, so you should support them. On the flip side, when it comes to social issues, it can get dicey, and you can become the bad guy real quick if you align with something that has clearly a line in the sand drawn. People agree or disagree in very staunch manners. You can lose customers. You generally are not going to gain customers, but you will lose customers. And that is something that needs to be thought of, especially in marketing. The PESTLE analysis: political, economical, social, technological, legal, environment. These are 6 things that are analyzed in this PESTLE analysis. And generally speaking, you should do a PESTLE before you do the SWOT. PESTLE will provide you data for opportunities and threat section. I mean, it just does. That's what comes out of this analysis. And it identifies how outside influences affect an industry or business. And it's great data for objective setting and planning. Data can be used across all business functions. That's the nice thing about the PESTLE, is it's not just for marketing the products. It can be for human resources in their onboarding. It can be used just all over the organization. So let's get a little bit further into this. Political items that you look at are wherever you are. And this could be national, could be state, could be local, could be city government, the stability of it. Political orientation, local and national elections, taxation, even in our market here. You go a few miles south into Wayne County, and the tax rates are different than what they are here in Oakland County, where Rochester Christian University is. So those are things when you're setting up your business, you need to take account of. Trade unions, for sure. Good points and bad points. But definitely trade unions will impact any business. Wars, both home and international, pandemic policies, grants and other funding, pressure groups, economical, social, technological, legal, and environment. All the issues here are researched and summarized in this PESTLE analysis, and you put it all together once you go through all these things, and you have your opportunities just almost come to life. They spill out of this very easily. The political environment, you have consumer activism. Consumers band together to attack what they view as unsafe or otherwise harmful. corporate, social, socio-political activism, CSA, to deliberately take a stand on a controversial issue. One of the very good example of this would be Nike's controversial support of Colin Kaepernick's actions. Agree with it or not, as I said before, the question is, does Nike have any role in jumping into something like this? A lot of people would say, yes, of course. We support Nike and we support Colin, so therefore Nike should support Colin. As a marketer and a business person, again, I'm looking at the fact that you can only lose customers. You're probably not going to gain too many. So you got to balance that out. That is part of what's called the business model. How many do we gain? How many do we lose? Do the math. Then is it worth it? Of course, you got the emotional appeal of supporting the social cause. But when it comes to marketing, it all comes down to dollars and cents. Slacktivism, small and relatively meaningless expressions of support for important causes, such as liking a charity on Facebook. A lot of companies will do this. I don't see any problem with this personally. Definitely, though, you got to keep in mind, especially if you're representing a company and part of their marketing department, what is it that this charity, is there any baggage attached to it? Is it a charity that quite possibly could be known for, 50% of the money they take in goes to, the executive's pocket, and only 50% goes to the cause itself. So you definitely have to keep an eye on that. But slacktivism, it could be a good thing. The economic environment. Disabled consumers, for example, more than 10 million adult Americans live with a disability. Well, that's a pretty big number. And at the same time, there's not a lot of marketing that goes towards these people, even though they spend billions of dollars. So, that's something that has to do with the economic environment. Consumed consumers, another topic. People who are used or exploited, willingly or not, for commercial gain in the marketplace. And then you have your food deserts. At least 33% of the local population is more than 1 mile from a grocery store in an urban area or 10 miles away in rural. 1 mile away in an urban area probably doesn't sound too bad. I mean, if you think about it, many of us are a mile away from a grocery store at least. But more importantly, food deserts also include some very condensed urban areas where there just aren't any good quality grocery stores. And the grocery stores that are there are selling expired food items. And it's a tough one because the people that live there don't have the mobility options to travel to get to some stores. But this is a real thing, and it's an economic environment, part of the pestle analysis. How do you get food to these people? I don't know. There are many services that will get them there, but that is, food deserts is a real thing, and it is quite evident. The social environment. You have the cancel culture, the phenomenon of the public calling out companies for missteps and recommending that consumers boycott the guilty brands. Happens every day. Cause marketing, a popular strategy that aligns a company or brand with a cause to generate business and societal benefits. For example, Tito's Vodka. Tito's has long been in support of animal humane societies, and more specifically, dogs. There is a dog attached, and many times if you buy a bottle of Tito's, there'll be a little collar on the top that with a website where you can go look at their support for the dogs. And and donate some money. And that's an example. And Tito's does that. They're very proud of it. Um, does that generate sales? I don't know. But it certainly doesn't hurt sales. And if I suppose if somebody is in the aisle looking at, doesn't really know a lot about vodka, but is curious, and they see Tito's with their support of the humane societies and dogs in particular, if they're a dog person, they're making that choice. So every little advantage you can make, take it. Big question, is it okay for brands to support a cause for profit? Tito's profits off of their support of the dogs and the humane societies. I guess I don't see a problem with it because they're giving some of that money back. You may have a different opinion, and that's fine. But in this scenario, it's yeah, making a profit, and it's called co-branding, where they're co-branding and using the halo effect of, hey, see, we're do-gooders, see what good things we're doing here. So therefore, you're going to feel good when you buy our brand. You have a story to tell. Um, but who is it okay? No, it's a good discussion. Social issues. Perceived negative racial stereotype of Uncle Ben led to the name being changed to Ben's Original. Well, that's not the first time that this type of thing. There's restaurants that have changed their names. There's um, all kinds of products that have uh, been perceived as racially motivated names, and they've changed. I think, was it the Aunt Jemima brand of pancakes has recently changed over to something else. Um, with Aunt Jemima, I personally, I looked at that saying, the lady on that box, boy, she looks like someone that knows how to make a pancake. I'm buying that one. But I guess similar to this Uncle Ben, there was a negative racial stereotype, and so it's changed to Ben's Original. It happens all the time. It's a social issue, and these um, certain consumer behavior dictates make the name change. Did it work? Don't know. I could probably research the numbers and find out, but it's definitely something marketers are always keeping an eye out for, is anything that can harm their product and cause consumers to walk away or switch to a different brand. PESTEL, the technological environment, general data protection regulations, requires websites to provide visible notice regarding private information they collect through cookies and to give consumers the choice to disagree with such tracking. These are called privacy policies. And just as a side note, and many of you who are going into digital marketing probably already know this, search engines actually look for privacy policies on websites. And I know Google will give you some extra points if you have a privacy policy. These privacy policies are very easy to get. In essence, you can go on Google, and if you just type in privacy policy, there'll be plenty of them there that are for free, and they say, hey, just use this, put it here. But more importantly, just the fact that we needed a general data protection regulation from websites grabbing our information without people knowing. I guess people knew they're grabbing information, but sounds to me like it was overboard, and there was just so much being grabbed and used and sold and bartered with other people that now they have to put their notification up there, and that comes in the form of and anytime you go to a web, not most times you go to a website, you'll get the little pop-up that says, we use cookies, agree or disagree, whatever, and you can click right out of it. But that is what is the result of this regulation in a technology environment. AI, creating new opportunities and challenges for consumers and consumer protection. Boy, isn't that the truth? consumer addiction, a physiological or psychological dependency on products. Well, that could apply to most anything, not just technology products. Um, Coffee. I know people that just can't go through a morning without coffee. Either Pepsi or Coke or Diet Coke. People that just have to have it. Do they have to have it? I don't know, but in their minds, they do. Um, Another topic in this technological environment is cyberbullying. Willful and repeated harm inflicted through computers, cell phones, and other electronic devices. This is a big problem. What's the answer to it? I don't know. Um, but it happens. And I think as long as there's certain groups of people, or, sometimes you call them cliques that are formed, um, and there's other people in different cliques with different lifestyles, what have you. Boy, this is a tough one, because when it comes to cyberbullying, it's just a different place to express the opinions that would otherwise be expressed verbally, I guess. Um, so is it any different than saying something to somebody's face? Well, I guess it is, because now with cyberbullying, um, hundreds of people might see it if it goes into a social media, versus if you say it to someone's face, it's just a couple people who happen to be there. Either way, it's wrong. And what's the answer? That's above my pay grade. The legal environment, and this is, excuse me. I think the legal environment's doing everything it can to, on one hand, allow for free speech and not to regulate too many things. But on the other hand, you got to keep in mind, these are private companies, most of them, that are being regulated by governments, and it's kind of a touchy subject, because if you're conservative in your views, then part of that is stay out of business's business. But on the other hand, to regulate against cyberbullying, you have to get into businesses. And that's where, like I said, that's where the conflict comes in. And I think it's all being sorted out. It's a bit of a gray area right now, but governments at all levels are taking stands and doing things. And, um, time will tell exactly what the answer to this is. It all comes down to consumers behaving badly. You also have consumer theft and fraud, which that definitely is, those are laws that are being broken. And so the legal environment certainly has to get involved there. Unauthorized knockoffs being sold through internet brands, what have you. Again, laws are being broken. And whenever laws are being broken, governments can step in at any level. Which leads us to federal legislation intended to enhance consumers' welfare. Again, this goes back to 1953. You look at some of this legislation, most recently, 2021, and actually there's been more since then, but as listed here: Consumer Protection Act, Consumer Review Fairness Act, Consumer Goods Pricing Act, 1975, 1990, Nutrition Labeling and Education Act. That is something that came out of right around 1990. You started to get a lot of these artificial sweeteners. It's when, the diet drinks were coming into the market in a big way. And so artificial sweeteners were being used, and nobody was really knowing what was going on. And the nutrition labeling really, the whole thing got rewritten. But if you look at some of these laws, federal legislation is intended to enhance consumers' welfare it's nothing new. It's been going on for a long time. And of course, this legislation is sorted out, and many of it comes from the regulatory agencies. You have the Consumer Product Safety, Environmental, EPA, FCC, FTC, You have all these acronyms here. And they develop and enforce regulations. Say, for example, the EPA develops and enforces regulations aimed at protecting the environment. Major impact on the materials processes that manufacturers use in their products, and thus the ability of companies to develop products. There again, it's kind of a touchy subject. If you believe government should stay out of business as business, but at the same time, if they're really using materials and processes that are unsafe when it gets in the hands of the consumers, I guess the government has to step in, and there's other reasons as well. But there's plenty of agencies. There's a lot of them. And again, this gets back into the marketplace end of this chapter. The environment, sustainability, everything we need for our survival depends either directly or indirectly on our natural environment. Some of the things in the environment aspect of this pestle are recycling, the design of products, how things are designed, and production, manufacturing, of course, is a big one, distribution, consumption, collection of when people throw things out or they're getting rid of some of the items. Distribution is something I think a lot of people forget about, but getting products from one spot to the next. I know Amazon is going a lot with electric vans right now. There's a lot of cities are using hydrogen powered buses in their mass transit system. I don't know the net effect of a lot of these things. I just know that this is what's happening. And it, on the surface, I mean, is to help protect the environment. So there are things going on in this, and this is, like I said, the pestle analysis really gets pointed things, and it is something that if you do this before you do your SWOT analysis for any other class or project, it'll help you out. And a lot of companies do this. A lot of companies have ongoing pestle analysis updates and what have you. So when you get into the workforce, this is something that you're going to be seeing. Sustainable business model. Here's another thing. Not just about reducing a company's carbon footprint. 60% of companies that convert to a sustainable business model have profited financially. Now, is that because it's better and cheaper to get the things necessary to have a sustainable business model? Or is that because the consumers are attracted to this type of thing, find it appealing, and the profits go up? An example is Native deodorant. It's a popular choice for some consumers because of its focus on sustainability. Well, Native certainly has hit the market and done pretty well in, I think, somewhat of a short period of time. But well, there we are. And it is a big topic. It's a big buzzword. Sustainable business is something that you definitely want to know about. I guess it looks here, you go sustainable, your profits will improve. That's according to this research. Green marketing and greenwashing, two completely opposite things. Green marketing, a strategy that involves the development and promotion of environmentally friendly products and a focus on this attribute when the manufacturer communicates with customers. Greenwashing. Companies make false or exaggerated claims about how environmentally friendly their products are. Happens all the time. 6 signs of greenwashing on this little graphic on the right side here. Being purposely vague, lesser of the evils, irrelevance, making claims that really don't make a hill of beans one way or the other, but they'll make the claims. Hidden trade-off, no proof, make an environmental claim that cannot be substantiated, and out-and-out fibbing. is a nice soft way of saying that some manufacturers lie, and occasionally they do. Um, a I mean, there's some case studies that we're going to go over later on that will show the fibbing claims and things like that. They'll put companies out of business, or they'll open a door for competitors come in and say, okay, see, they're not doing things the way they say, but we are. And complete categories are opened up. So it's the type of thing. Green marketing, go ahead and do it. It's an okay strategy. If your products can have the things in place to do that, that's fine. Greenwashing, you want to stay away from. One way or the other, you're going to get found out. The Shift, SHIFT, social influence, habits, individual self, feelings, tangibility, changing consumer behavior for the better. Social influence, these are the 5 ways that make up that acronym. Use social pressure and norms to encourage behavior. That is a huge one. Social influencers. I think social media has just really become the go-to place to influence and encourage behavior. It's way beyond, the thinking used to be, if you want to build a brand, you got to go on TV, and television is where you build brands. I think that has crossed over now to social media. I would say it's as important, if not more important, than getting your brand message properly placed on TV. Yeah, you got to do both probably, but just the way that you can be so targeted with social media and use AI to, in real time adjust your messages to precisely deliver a laser focused message to each person based on what that person is doing and seeing and a daily basis, because all these things. So social influence is a huge one. Habits, encourage formation of pro-social habits. Well, that's kind of logical, I suppose. Individual self, appeal to identity, self-interest, and personality traits. Well, that gets back to the social media that I just spoke of. And we're going to get a little deeper into this topic in a few more chapters, but that is the ultimate relationship marketing. And once you establish a relationship marketing with your consumers, you're going to be doing pretty well, because now you have the identity, you've got their self-interest, which is identity is half rational, half emotional. Self-interest is emotional, and personality traits. That's a result of a lot of things, but you've got both the rational and the emotional side covered in this one. Feelings and cognition, employ different frames and emotional appeals in the appropriate situations and contexts. Again, this is where AI has become so important to help brands get to know the emotional appeals that will trigger moving their consumers to the next step in the purchase process, and being able to deliver marketing messages that are just hit the mark so crystal clear that it's a big one. Employing different frames, and the different frames means what you possibly show on TV is going to be slightly different than something that's going to show up on social media. Of course, you got a lot less time. Social media requires you to do a quicker hit, but nonetheless, feelings and cognition is something that definitely has to be thought of. Tangibility, make clear what the pro-social behavior accomplishes. Who benefits? Self-efficacy. Make clear what the pro-social behavior accomplishes. That's very important. A lot of brands don't do this very well. And really what this means is, either visually communicating or literally communicating by showing something happening. buy our brand, buy our product, and this is what the benefits to you will be. Or buy our brand, buy our product, and the people you work with will benefit, or who's going to benefit. And a lot of times companies forget to put that in their brand messages. I call it the call to action, which is, this is why, and because of this, okay, now good, now contact us, call us, go to our website, whatever, and this is why you need to do that, because of these pro-social behaviors. Another theory or concept out there, LOHAS, lifestyles of health and sustainability consumers. This is I call it a niche market, even though, Americans spend 290 billion annually. It's a niche. 25% of consumers are likely to choose sustainable products. And this gets back into our, a few slides previous, we looked at something that said 60% of brands and products that went into the sustainable direction with their marketing showed a profit. And that's good, although it looks here like your target audience base is 25% of consumers who will consider you just based on your sustainable products. Now, you're going to have a bigger base than that because maybe you have a good product and it works. And so, but definitely, I think it's going to be less than half of the overall market that you're going to hit. And half of that, 25% of your total customer base 25% of consumers are likely to choose sustainable. It's great marketing. Well, like I said, for niche organic foods, energy efficient appliances, hybrid cars, alternative medicine, yoga lessons, ecotourism, yoga lessons. I would like to offer an observation here that I think yoga is coming on as at least, I don't know if it's a fad or if it's a trend, but it is expanding, and I think it's drawing a lot more men into yoga. Yoga is for a long time was not considered, it was something that ladies did. Well, I think a lot of men are doing it now. You're showing some pro athletes are doing it, and it is something. But anyway, this LOHAS is another way to look at things. It is the lifestyles of health and sustainability. Here you have an example of Chipotle and how they are promoting themselves as cultivating a better world. And a lot of brands, they will do this. They'll come out with some marketing messages that show how they're good corporate citizens and helping to keep the environment in order, I suppose. Again, it can't hurt. It can only help. I don't see any downside to it other than could the money used to develop these campaigns go to someplace else? I don't know. Don't know how much money they're putting into these things, but definitely something to know about. And that's it. Getting back to the week 1 assignments, read chapter 1 and 2. Quizzes are posted on Canvas. A couple of discussions are posted. There's actually a third discussion that is posted for extra credit. If any of you feel like getting a few extra credit points, there is a third discussion posted on Canvas. And that is it for today. We'll see you soon. And let me know if you have any questions.